put it very simply, the objective of this workshop, as you can see, we have the law enforcement people here, we have the CERT people, we have the regulators, and the ISPs. Typically, when we have a cyber attack, the entire ecosystem of a cyber attack, when it happens, in order for us to perform an investigation or mitigate these attacks, there is different stakeholders are involved. And the different stakeholders include this group of people, which are the CERTs, the ISPs, the regulators, and the law enforcement. So one of the key primary objectives of this workshop is, number one, is to build capacity, of course, and to build the capabilities of the people in the law enforcement and the regulators and the CERT groups. And secondly, another very, very key objective here is to enhance cooperation and also communication among these groups of people, so that any time when a cyber threat happens or a cyber attack happens, we have a better communication, we have better cooperation, because we need to mitigate attacks quick. So the better the communication and cooperation among these groups, the faster we can mitigate these attacks, and the faster we can actually basically try to catch the criminals if possible. Yeah. Looking at it in a very holistic manner, ITU Impact is trying to help countries around the world to enhance their cybersecurity readiness. In doing so, there are many different areas that we're looking into, and one of the areas is, of course, on the forensics capabilities as well. We've embarked on helping countries develop their first line of defense, which is their national CERTs, or the Computer Incident Response Team. Now, typically, emergency response teams around the world or incident response teams around the world have basically been the first line of defense for any country. Now, in moving forward, the CERTs are not only there to just to perform first level incident response, but moving forward, at the end of the day, you want to catch the criminals. And to catch these criminals, you need to develop forensics capabilities. And today we are talking about digital forensics. One of very difficult areas, if you look at compared to forensic science, is the digital forensics, because number one, at the end of the day, you want to be able to prove the evidence in court. So how do we collect the evidence? How do we preserve the evidence? How do we prove this evidence in court that is authentic and has not been tampered with or modified or changed in any way? So it's very important for them to build this kind of capabilities and capacities. And therefore, ITU Impact, in its role in helping countries enhance their cybersecurity readiness and also help them to build their capacity and capabilities in all the different areas, this is one of the areas that we're embarking on. So when we do these CERT implementations, one of the phases that we move into is the forensics phase, which is the third phase actually. Once they have actually done the CERTs being implemented, they have developed proactive services and all that, finally we teach them, or we basically build their capacity into forensics. So we are looking at countries holistically and not just in one particular area. So we are trying to build readiness for the nation in addressing cyber crime, cyber attacks, cyber threats as a whole. I think if you look at it, we categorize countries in three different categories. We have the least developed, we have the developing nations, and the developed nations. If we look at it, the least developed nations and the developing nations would be the main areas of concern, because they do not have the capabilities at the moment. Now, it's easy to say that let's build the capabilities and capacities, but do you have the people? That's the big concern. So I think that it is a gradual approach, but our approach has always been take little steps if possible, but let's take those steps. So we are trying to address the concerns of the capacity that is not there. So we need to build that. I think in the long run, what is important in these countries is to have a roadmap that actually churns out people who are capable of or rather people who are cybersecurity ready or have some basic information or knowledge and experience in this, so that there is a pool of them. So countries like this need to start preparing now, because this is a big concern. So I would say some of the major concerns that we are seeing in digital forensics is basically the lack of expertise, definitely the lack of expertise. But deeper than that is that they don't even have the people who even, some of them are not even in stage 1 yet. So they are basically just starting off. So it's a process. We are trying to help them to expedite the process by building a small group of people who can basically take on this role and slowly develop more people within that country. But I think that eventually countries will have the capacity in the long run. As one of the things that I would like to say here is that what we are seeing is that countries are beginning to see the importance of cyber threat as a key concern, especially that now it's hitting more on critical infrastructures in countries. So countries are beginning to prep up their people more towards this area.